Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. Here we are talking about this lovely movie. I'm your host, Ty Christensen. I can't do that forever, and I don't know how bad that was. It probably is bad. I think I sound better, but I think I start to turn into Lucky Charms mascot, Leprechaun. Guys, we are doing a great movie, and I'm excited to be joined here with Jordan and Tatiana Christensen.
Banshees of Inisherin.
Banshees of Inisherin.
You've been rowing.
Have you been rowing?
I don't think we've been rowing.
I've been rowing. I do not have impure thoughts about men. How dare you say that about a man of cloth? That's my favorite line. I wrote it down. Have you been having impure thoughts about your friend? What kind of question is that, Father? Have you having impure thoughts? How dare you?
How dare you?
The pearl clutching is great. I think the priest is one of my favorite characters.
I forgot about that character.
Oh, and Dominic. Oh my gosh, what a heart. So sad. Poor Dominic Kearney.
Dude, he gets lost in the role. He is so good.
He's great. What is it? I always think he's Ty Sheridan. He's the other guy. He reminds me of Ty Sheridan. Okay, guys, we're doing the Banshees of Inisherin. Just say it fast and confident. I don't know why it says comedy. I mean, there is some amazing moments, but this is definitely a drama first, then the comedy. Yes. But maybe on rewatch, I'd laugh harder.
He does a lot of dark comedies.
Yes. Well, yeah. This is our director that brought us In Bruges, and was it Seven Psychopaths? What was the other movie?
Seven Psychopaths and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Yes. I like this guy. So
he always McDonagh. He always ends his films like on kind of a cliffhanger. I don't know if you call it a cliffhanger, but just like one you can discuss.
Barry Keoghan is the name I was thinking of, by the way. He plays Dominic. I always think Ty Sheridan, Barry Keoghan kind of look the same. At least they kind of have that like mousy role. But Barry Keoghan was the one in Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk. And Ty Sheridan is
he does
Ty
look
Sheridan
like him.
Is the Spielberg future movie, was the video game movie. What was it called? Ready Player One.
Well, I thought he was in Dunkirk. This kid in this movie.
Barry Keoghan is the kid in Dunkirk. Gets his head knocked by Cillian Murphy. Yeah. I always confused the two of them, but anyway. I was thinking, I before we even begin this podcast and talking about the Banshees, I just wanted to let you know my podcast mic has been backwards. So I'm really grateful we brought on such an amazing guest, Tatiana, to correct me, to use my mic the proper way. So anyway, this is an official podcast now. So let's get into it. This movie came out in 2022 and is directed by Martin McDonagh. What an amazing Irish name. Martin McDonagh. And it stars Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Kerry Condon, Barry Keoghan, and a few others. Gary Linden, Pat Short, Sheila Flinton, and a few others. But let's get into this movie.
But even those few others, Ty, like they all give like such a great performance. Yeah. Like even the male lady, you never tell me anything.
You never tell. Oh, she was a gem. What a peach. You read about it. It came open, did it? I was like, oh, it came that way, you know.
Must have been hot.
Must have been hot. Came open that way. Well, you're gonna take the job, or ain't you? You never tell me anything. I love it.
Nobody tells me nothing.
Nobody tells me nothing. Yeah, exactly. It's another character. So what was this movie? Let's talk about this movie. This movie came out. We're discussing it now. First time watching it. And if you guys have seen it once and rewatched it for the podcast, Jordan, Tatiana, who wants to take it first?
Yeah, we saw this in the theater.
Excuse me.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. How long ago was it? A whole month?
Whenever it came out, we saw it the weekend it came out. Yeah.
Yeah. So my memory's a little rusty because I have not seen it since then. But we talked about it afterwards for like a solid hour or something. We talked about themes of friendship.
Well, kind of all night. Like we were talking about it on the car ride home, and then we just kept discussing it.
And you're like, and you're sitting there thinking, like, did Brendan Gleeson overreact? Did Colum's behavior, like, just because you're bored of your friend doesn't mean you lop off your fingers and mutilate your body.
Yes, I was a big fan of. That was not a healthy thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Well, just like not obviously the chopping off fingers, but also just shutting off his friend like that. But
spoiler alert, and murdering a donkey. It's wrong.
But at the same time, there's validity to setting boundaries, and so that's it's just such an interesting. Yeah, it just spawned a lot of conversations about that.
But could he set boundaries with this guy? Because the more I got to know him, I'm like, I don't think you could have stopped him. I think that was
this is why I really like this movie, because we don't see their relationship ever in a positive light.
Yeah, that was
like, you never even see them falling out. It's just one day he's like, why aren't you talking to me, man? Are we rowing? Like, which is like, are we like in a fight? Are we like school kids? Like, what? Which the sister, who's probably the smartest character, she's like, what are you fetching? We're all fetching boring. You're all boring. I love that line.
He's boring. You're all boring. Wait, that reminded me of the other quote, Ty, when he's like, he won't talk to me anymore. He's like, what is he, 12?
What is he, 12? That was Dominic. Yeah, he's like, what? Yes. You're still going on about that fat, mangy bugger or whatever. He's like, his sausage fingers.
And something else, like another big theme it brought up is this guy was like, I want to make a mark in the world. And kind of, he had this idea of, I don't know, fame or like leaving a legend behind. And that to me was totally ignoring what's way more important, which is relationships. That being said, there's a whole nother topic of, did he need to set boundaries with that
niceness
person?
Doesn't last, Tatiana. When are you going to learn that? Niceness doesn't last.
But his reasons for not ending the friendship were like, I don't want to be known for us just sitting around and talking. I want to be known for my music. And I struggle with, I just think that's unhealthy.
What's so bonkers is he's literally mutilating his body so he can no longer play the violin, which is punctuated in a scene where he's just flailing his instrument in the air at the pub.
Well, he could still write music, and so that's what he was doing. He was still writing it and having other people play it.
True, but it's still awful, because even if you're going to say that, it's like this relationship where you're like, nothing of note, happens. Eventually, when when Colin Farrell's character finally stands up for himself, I always forget the name. Patrick. It's spelled P. Adraic. Patrick. It's like the equivalent, the Irish equivalent to Patrick, but I'm gonna call him Pat. He finally confronts Brendan Gleeson, Colum's character, and then Colum's like, wow, I actually think I'm starting to like him now. Just as he like speaks back to him, right? He finally asserts himself. But it's awful because Dominic and everyone else warns him, like, you're a nice man, don't stoop to his level. And he just can't help himself, and he just slowly starts to put himself on Brendan Gleeson's level, and it results in him burning his house down. It's awful. It's awful. His donkey dies. His favorite pet companion dies because he chokes on one of the disembodied fingers of Column's disembodied fingers that he's thrown at his door. It's crazy.
And all the little things that led up to that too, like when he told that guy, he's like, oh, I got a telegram saying your father was hit by a bread truck. That was the same way my mother died.
Oh my goodness.
It better not be the same fetching bread company.
And it's back in the day or whatever. He can't text and find out. He has to travel.
He has to go to travel.
And then find out it was a lie. Oh.
He's like, hey, but it'll be fine. Once he gets there, he'll realize that it didn't happen. We'll get over it. The whole time he's riding over there, like, I'm sure he'll be fine. It's the freaking Unhinged podcast again. After the brother's set on fire, and he's like, "Oh, he'll be fine. He'll be fine." Oh, okay. What a relief. Anyway, so yes, let's get into. So my first experience, I just watched this for the first time last night, completely blind, and it's how I love seeing movies. The only thing I knew about it was the director of In Bruges, and I actually thought this might have been a sequel because he had both. You had Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell both in the movie again, and I thought they were going to start the movie off like this is the after, he has the therapy of killing the kid, but I'm like, wait, doesn't it end with? And I was like, oh no, Ralph Fiennes dies, or does I can't remember. Does Colin Farrell die? I have to see that movie again. In Bruges. It's been a long time. So it's a good movie again, same director. So, but I'm like, how does that movie end? Anyway, I literally thought it's possible that this is like either a prequel or a sequel to that movie. But I was pleasantly surprised. Went in blind. This is a very dramatic movie, and
before. I just wanted to mention too, before we went to the theater, I had Tatiana watch all his films before we went to the movie. And so, you're
right. We watched The Billboard and the other one,
Seven Psychopaths.
Yeah, it's pretty soon.
And we had already seen In Bruges
quite a while ago.
I don't get the hate that Three Billboards got. I quite enjoyed it. It's nominated. I guess some people didn't like it, or they say it's like an offensive.
Wasn't that my favorite?
I'm from the Midwest. I think it's fine. We don't all sound like that, but
because Jordan asked me later what's my order of favorite of the 4, and I think I said Billboards was my first.
Yeah.
And then Banshees of Inertia is my second. And then I think In Bruges, and then I think Seven Psychopaths.
Yeah. Mine's In Bruges, 3 Billboards, 7 Psychopaths. No, Seven Psychopaths. Then this one, because this one it hits a little too close to home for me. It's just like it's almost too relatable with
it's like a very personal film.
Yeah, with like so many dynamics you have with people. There's a lot of people that like are setting up limits and boundaries, and it's just really hard sometimes if you're used to like a certain way. It's just it can be rough. So watching this, I'm like, oh man, this is really sad.
Yeah.
Well, it's even though you don't see him in good standing, you're still watching what you could argue could be 2 civil friends like part peacefully. It just steadily gets more and more toxic and more evil and sinister. Even like I had this very unnerving feeling because the movie is so beautifully shot. There's so many great landscapes. I'm like, gosh, I want to go to Ireland. I want to see this place for myself. And
well,
I don't know.
It reminds me of like a Robert Eggers film where it immerses you totally into the film.
Yeah, even the very beginning, just the beautiful opening shots. You watch. I'm gonna call him Pat from now on. Colin Farrell's character walking down the countryside. It's just like simpler times, and yet this is a really like complex story about relationships, and if they change over time, people change over time. I will read the plot synopsis, and then we'll get into 2 of our favorite things. It just says 2 lifelong friends find themselves at an impasse when one abruptly ends their relationship with alarming consequences for both of them. So let's get into 2 of our favorite things.
I haven't shared what it was like really quick. I just wanted
to
say.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine.
Tatiana did.
I just want to say, like, I was very much anticipating this movie, and so like I knew when it was going to come out.
Did you see the trailer?
You need to watch it again. Yeah, you build things way too much. Like once you have a director that you're following,
I still
you can't wait for his next film, and then it like ranks very low on your list.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, but no, low on his list, but like compared to his other films, but still, compared to other movies, like his films are still all like top.
Yeah, when's the last time freaking Steven Spielberg made a Banshees of Inisherin?
Oh my gosh, I know, right?
Yeah, something personal. Just very sweet and intimate, and
well, I mean, Spielberg
were high.
Well, Steven Spielberg did make a personal movie. He made a movie about his life, just barely, with Paul Dano.
oh, that's right.
It just came out.
Is that any good? Is it any
Tuesday.
Good?
I haven't seen it. I'm
intrigued to see it.
I'm interested.
Over the top, yeah.
But like you said, I don't feel like it's like this. I just to feel immersed, to feel like a concrete story. I had such a blast seeing it in the theater, and then rewatching it again today for the podcast. I mean, it's amazing. The visuals are unbelievable. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about the 2 favorite things. How you want to go?
And so 2 favorite things, Tatiana. Let's have you start. What are your 2 favorite things from this film?
I guess generally performances. Like I don't know if any of the characters were just like local people that they just pulled in, but anyways, so the accents were great. But I'm saying things like that Dominic that you guys mentioned, that Dominic character, like holy cow, he was so believable. Oh my goodness. Yeah, his performance was amazing. The sisters, and then obviously the 2 lead guys, and just everyone's like their acting was amazing. Colin Farrell is just outstanding because I feel like I've seen him in quite a few movies. Not all.
He's so handsome, and they make him look like such a dweeb in this movie.
Yeah, but like holy cow, is each of his characters different?
Yeah.
Like that is a good actor when it's very, very much like down to their mannerisms, and just you can just tell like he embodies each character he does. So
I certainly forgot that he was the Penguin just in this last role.
You're
like, oh, not Italian mobster, but like a sweet dweebish little Irish man. It's great, little farmer.
And then like just kind of how we've been talking about. I loved all the themes that it brought up about friendship, about priorities in life, about when you've been wronged and then taking it too far in getting back at the person.
As an artist too, like I mean, for me, it is interesting, the idea, like, what are you going to leave behind? I mean, I know, obviously.
What's your legacy? Yeah. What are you going to be remembered for?
But we're very religious, so we believe like relationships are very important. And so like, obviously we think that's more important, but I think as an artist, mindset too, because I mean, you like make music and I like to make videos, so like I do think about that. Like Stanley Kubrick, he upset a lot of people, but he is considered like, top 10 directors of all time. Like,
yeah, and soon anyone that he's abused physically and verbally, they'll all be dead, and we'll forget about that, and then we'll revere him as even a greater hero than he is. So
yeah,
and to me, it's just like that's just zero value to them up in heaven. I'm sorry, instead
yeah, you can't take it with you in the next life.
They became sour people. I don't know. It's just, I just.
And will those films still exist? Because I think us as a people, we're all going to kill each other anyways. So,
okay, that's interesting. You mentioned killing each other.
The Civil War,
the war going on. I think that's actually a really good motif, and largely what this whole thing is a metaphor for.
Yeah,
both Irishmen, they're both fighting. They don't even know what about, and I think that's what's important about this film. We don't understand. He mentions like he's just had enough of them and he wants to leave behind a legacy. But I was like, why are wars fought anyway? Like, oh, we'll be remembered. We stood for our freedoms, or we're fighting for this cause. And in the end, what are you fighting about?
Yes.
Like, there's the great moment. Carrie Condon is one of my favorite characters in this movie. She plays
the sister.
Yeah, Sully or whatever they call her. She's great. She's the only voice of reason, and she has the gumption, and finally is like, I've had enough. I'm leaving, and she does something about it. And thank goodness she gets out of there, because if you stay behind there, you just get swallowed up in the misery and pain, and you get wrapped up in tragedy. Really,
she invited her brother to join her,
and he lied to her. He said, he's like, my donkey, needs me.
He needs me. It's already gone.
He's gone. And he's like, and my friends, you have no friends.
Yeah.
Get out of there.
It's just so I don't know, like either afraid of change or couldn't let go, that he stopped himself from being happy. And he had the opportunity to improve his life. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, and what I also found very interesting was like the dynamics of friendships, because he wants so badly to still connect with that other guy, but he has this other guy that wants to be friends.
Dominic wants to be his friend, but he's not his ideal.
He's not interested.
Yeah, he's like, you're weird. You quit hitting on my sister. You say the inappropriate things at the wrong time.
He's very dumb. He's very dull.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, which everyone accuses. Yeah, everyone accuses
of Colin Farrell as being dull.
Yes, and
that
yet Dominic is even.
That to me was a very good, just self-reflective wake up call for me of like how often do I do that? Do I get picky about people that want to hang out with me, and I'm like, oh, but I want to hang out with this other people, and it's like this cycle, and like, why don't I just be, and hopefully I do this in life, but like, why don't I just be nice and enjoy the people that want to be my friends?
You talked about pony crap for what did you say, an hour?
You talked about the crap.
He's like
the stringy crap that was.
It was pony crap, so that just shows you how much you were listening.
It was straw. It could have been straw. It wasn't stringy substance. It was straw. It shows you how. Yeah. I love that. He's like, I couldn't stand listening to you. I just need silence. I need peace. I need peace. It's great. It's so funny to see Brendan Gleeson, because he always seems like he's annoyed. As of late, he's turning into an older, codgety old fool, and just like it wants to be left alone. Reminds me of like a Harrison Ford in a way. Like, just like, look, stop bothering me, right? It's like your job is like for people to bother you. No, it's like, no, my job is to act. The paparazzi doesn't have to be part of my job, Anyway, I see him in this movie, and again, we never see beforehand. We're only seeing afterwards, but clearly the fact that Colin Farrell is so blindsided, and they mentioned like, oh, am I daft? Am I a dullard or whatever? Like, am I? I can't remember the other term they use for it, but like, am I a norm or a gom or something? They call him something funny. I think it's a gom or something. Like, am I a gom? I love that he's so blindsided by it, because as an audience member, we have no idea, and we're as fascinated to find out what. And tragically, I don't even think we necessarily do. I mean, you could argue that Brendan just wants to have more, notoriety after he's gone. But you're like, I guess, cutting off your fingers every time Colin Farrell bothers you, like, that's a good way to get notoriety, because now everyone will be like, these two guys were fighting. I don't even remember what about. And now he's throwing fingers at his door. Tragically, his donkey ate one of the fingers, choked on it, died, and it was his only animal friend. It was his only friend left. Well, and they're fighting, and
I love because
his house down. It's crazy.
Like in that crazy interview, interview with Quentin Tarantino, and he's like, it's so much fun, Jan, get it? He said in the interview, she's like, with all those people dying, he's like, revenge is messy. And like, there's that kind of effect of I love that
yes, there's fallout. There's
yes, totally
innocent bystanders. The donkey did nothing wrong. And I think that speaks to the Civil War motif. There's a war going on. They hear cannons, they hear gunshots, and it startles them a few times.
Yeah, and
they say, "Oh, I think it'll stop," and then he's like, "What difference does it make?" He's like, "What are they fighting about anyway?" Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
and the cop
are they done?
When he's like, I'm gonna go see one of them execute the other, and he's like, wait, is it on that side or this side? I don't really care. They're gonna execute themselves.
We used to be fighting, Brits. We used to be fighting someone else. It was a little easier then, but now we're all fighting each other. Yeah, because they don't know what they're fighting about, and that's what a part of this is. It's like we're all just like tragically victims of a circumstance, and we get blindsided by these things. Or it's like I've been told by brainwashed either by media or by your circumstance in life, and you're like, I'm told to hate these people, or I'm because they're different than me, right? And or even if they're the same, you could be brought and torn apart. Civil War is a perfect example of that. So, and it's always going on in the background. And again, you have two largely peaceful. It does end in a few punches, I guess. It does escalate quickly, like gets the snot kicked out of him. But I guess that's the policeman, who's a very abusive character, which is so sad. I want to get into Dominic's character because that's one of my favorite parts. I didn't even realize this until I read the quotes again. When he's walking around with that stick with the hook, he's like, "Oh, what is this stick? You can reach things." What's so tragic is the soothsayer crazy woman. She ends up using that stick to drag his body out of the water. It's like foreshadowing, and it's awful because something is like, as a quirky as his character is, he's pointing out this tool that's literally going to be used to fish him out of the water. It's absolutely tragic. And
I didn't catch that the first time. I caught it the second time. I was like, oh no way.
It's the staff. Yeah, he's holding it and playing with it. He's like, what is this used for anyway? To reach things at a further distance, and it's like, pulling him out of the water, which is so tragic. But
and how quick they breeze over that. You blink and you miss it. It's crazy.
He's about to confront him. He's like, "You just burned Cullum's house down. Like, I'm here to arrest you." And then it's like, "Come with me real quick. Your son is literally dead here in the water." Absolutely horrifying and such a sad turn. Like I said, this movie goes like the accelerator is hit, and it's just one tragedy after another, and you almost don't have time to mourn. But like you said, Tatiana, I totally agree. Colin Farrell's mourning, like just weeping over the loss of his animal, over his friendship. It's so good. And when he confronts him at the pub and at his home, it's so, and you almost think that maybe he's going to reach him. Maybe Cullum's gonna like realize, yeah, you're right, I should keep you as a friend. He even thinks he talks peace to him. He's like, "Yeah, you should order us a pint ahead." And then he chops off like 5 more fingers. Jeez. It clearly did work. Confrontation, like you said, boundaries. He did warn him that's what he was going to do. But you think like, maybe I can fix this. Maybe if I just go back there, I could fix. So it's like, I wanted to ask the two of you. So I want to get into your two favorite, but I do want us to address the question, like, who is more in the wrong, Colin's character or Pat's character? Assuming we don't know why they broke up, but like, fell out of graces with each other. But I think it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard for me to make the case for Pat because I think Colin was escalated it. But then again, Pat lowered himself. Like at the end, he literally burned his house down and pushed Colin into. He told the guy that his mother was dead, or his father was dead. It was just a lie to get rid of him because he was jealous of the friendship he was bonding over with Colin. So anyway, just didn't know. I guess, did he lower himself as low as Colin did, or do you guys find what Colin did? Because Colin was self-harm, but necessarily didn't. I guess he did.
No, like donkey, you said,
but that was inadvertent. And
you said he brought himself down to his level, and that was the saddest part. Like because he started out like super rude and just like, instead of even discussing anything with them, he was just like, he's like, you're dullard, you're boring. Like I don't want anything to do with you anymore.
Yeah, and it was to talk anymore.
Yeah, and it wasn't like he even gave an explanation or even talked him through and said, "Hey, I'm trying to focus on this.
I'll stop talking about my donkey's craps. I promise. I'll talk about anything else. Let's just be friends still, Yeah. So Jordan, how about you? Two of your favorite things from this movie?
I mean, we pretty much discussed most of it. Like I love Martin writes so many good side characters like the Coen brothers. Like right away, you know kind of what kind of a person what that person is and how they're living because of their environment they're in and how they talk. And like, I love the buddy at the bar. Like, he's repeating everything he's saying.
The bartender, yeah. Or
yeah, I think that's bad luck. Definitely bad luck.
Bad luck.
Go, it'd be a good idea. Yes, definitely a good idea.
Yeah, definitely a good idea. But are the two of you rowing? I don't know. Are we rowing? Are you rowing? I don't know. You're not dumb or dim-witted. You're just you're a bit of a bore. Yeah, you're a bit of a bore.
Yeah, yes.
They're just always repeating everything.
And so he just nails his scripts. And like, I think me and Ty have discussed this many times. Just like, we just want to see a movie with a good story, and gosh dang, does he deliver? So I mean,
stories and characters.
Yes.
Like, I was thoroughly more invested in this than the last 10 Avengers movies and Disney products and superhero. Anyway,
we talked about this. We got on Disney Plus, I think, once together in the last year.
Yeah.
To watch the Home Alone, the sequel.
Because we didn't have, for some reason.
Because there's too many people on all the other accounts, so we had to use Disney Plus. We had no other
choice. You're like, we could. Yeah, everyone else took all the other good streaming services. Guys, I'm locked out. I guess we'll have to watch the Home Alone.
We kept watching it, thinking it'll get better.
It'll get better. Oh, dude.
Yeah,
that breaks my heart. I just saw the ad for the Christmas Story, which I know we talked about last week or a few weeks ago. Again, that broke my heart. Watching the trailer for that, I was like, this is awful.
They're doing a redo?
They're doing like a
sequel
like years later. It's him thinking back on the Christmases he used to have as
it's all
just
leave them as
just stop. Yeah. Make like you could make like a modern day, but like they're bringing this poor actor back. Like even in Elf, they brought him in there, but he was like an elf working with Buddy. What's the actor's name?
Yeah.
And now like they're trudging him out and be like, oh, I remember when my dad, I don't know, used to swear and beat me for spilling all the lug nuts, outside the car. And now it's just like iPhones, drones, and I don't know. I can't look at it. It looks awful.
Remember when I said all the things that they've announced? They've announced like another Transformers. Like they've announced a new Indiana Jones.
I know. Yeah, like look at all the movies coming out, and it's like not a single one of them is original.
Yeah, sequel.
Yeah, it's IP, and and it's awful because like in the end, if as long as like they take chances on directors, and I hate saying that because like look what happened with Rian Johnson, but like it doesn't need to spit in the eye, but like you could still make like a compelling indie story. And I'm done with blockbusters. Like they're too safe. They're all dumb. They all hit the check marks and everything, but like I feel nothing after I watch them. Like Rings of Power, I was completely empty. I had to stop watching She-Hulk because it was like not just like cringeworthy, it was like pain-inducing.
I know. I love Ty when you called me and you're like, you're like, why do I feel so gross inside? Like, and I'm like, it's because you're watching nonstop Disney garbage.
Yeah, you're like, watch some good, and then I watch this movie and I'm like, oh, there's like good movies coming out still. It gives me hope for the future. So anyway,
there's a lot of them.
Folks, do you guys have any other quotes or things you want to throw out about this movie?
Well, did you say one of your favorites or two of your favorites, Jordan?
I mean, we've already kind of talked about everything. Unless you got something else you want to add.
Yeah, as far as like,
I
love the quotes. Yeah, and watch the movie. Even knowing the things I do now, I really want to rewatch it because there's so many subtle things in this movie too. There's like obviously foreshadowing there. It's just a great story. So it's got all the things that you love about it, and it's got two great leads. These two actors feed off each other. They're both great. I'm amazed he didn't die of infection, or it's his hand is just constantly bleeding.
Yeah, does the island even have a doctor? Probably no doctor on the island.
Awful.
Like,
years of just.
It is. I feel like Martin's slowest film. Like I feel like they spend a lot of time you get to see them walking from point to A to B. And you get to soak in the scenery. Oh my goodness.
Yes, which is almost a character in of itself, right? Yeah, the whole the time. What does this take place in the what was it, 1940 something, 42?
Yeah, it's a fun period piece.
Or 1842. No, 1942. But yeah, long time ago. We're approaching 80 years. So again, very, very great film. So of course, it came out in 2022. I'm talking about when the movie takes place, folks. Would you guys recommend the Banshees of Inisherin?
I think they should watch In Bruges personally first, but
is that right?
I like it better, but I mean, this one I highly recommend this movie. Yeah.
This one, like, I loved so much. It won't be everyone's cup of tea, though. Like, it just won't be.
It's sad. It's a sad movie, for sure.
It's a tragedy, you could say. but it also has like just beauty in it in ways. It's kind of philosophical. So if that's people's cup of tea.
Well, in the ending too, like, did they resolve their relationship? Not really. I mean,
you have to go
and
through
and now
lack of resolution at the end.
Yeah, and even if they
nihilism, even it's like,
even if they
is he going to be remembered? Like, I guess for the self-mutilation. But,
I know,
right?
maybe not for the
legacy.
reasons
Yeah,
he wanted.
yeah. Well,
but maybe that's why
sure.
he cut off his fingers. Like, I'm gonna like, and now every time they hear the song, they're like, "This is the Loco Man." Like,
Which mind
the
you,
one that cut off his
priest,
ear.
yeah, right. The priest did mention though, he's like, you feel grief, right? How's the grief coming? And he's like, it's coming back. And it's clear that he likely had something going on that we
you're
were privy
right.
to. And I think that was the existentialism that he was suffering with. He's like, I'm not going to be remembered. And he takes it out on his friend. And I think that's what's really tragic about this story. That's my piecing together, because the
he's
priest
getting
tells
older.
him,
He's panicking.
He's starting to panic. He's like, I haven't done anything with my life. So therefore, we're not friends anymore because you're dragging me back. It's your fault that I'm nothing, that I'm just some guy that banters about donkey poop in a pub for 2 hours.
I love that, because when you asked which character is kind of more at fault or more painful of a story or whatever, I was thinking him, because he just did it out of we don't know what, and that the other guy sunk to his level because of the grief and like, it's not an excuse, but still. And it's like, you know what? Everyone who does anything, there's a backstory, there's pain, there's something. So that's kind of just how we all are as humans. Is we're traumatized by something and we deal with it in unhealthy ways.
For sure. And there's definitely trauma, because this show, like I said, the accelerator hits because at first they're fighting over something meaningful, and then it's like actual lives and the things they're saying that cause people to self-harm. Anyway, it's very tragic, but really touching, sweet indie film. Definitely check this one out. You have my recommendation, better than the last 100 films I've seen.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Recommendations all around. And check this movie out. So what have you been watching lately, and what are you looking forward to seeing? Tatiana, hit us up. What's on your docket?
We've been watching Community. It's been so fun.
Is this your first time watching, or have you watched it before?
This is my second time watching it.
Second time watching it.
Jordan's seen it a little more than me, but not a ton. And we are just having so much fun. For some reason, it is just really making me laugh even more than the first time. And so we're loving that. I don't remember what else we've seen. I saw part of the... I finally saw the first half of Lobster. What's it called?
The Lobster?
The Lobster. Colin Farrell.
I'm really excited to see the second half. I've seen the first 2/3 of... What's it called? The boat movie.
Oh, Triangle of Sadness.
Triangle of Sadness.
And
yeah, that fits very much in that window, very much like this movie, but a little bit more like fairy tale like, or storybook like. This one definitely feels more grounded and down to earth. But
and then
we keep bouncing around to so many different films, because I'll start it. I'm like, you need to see this. I'm like, oh wait, you need to see this, and I like before we can even finish.
There's so many movies to see.
Just tonight,
so little time.
Before this podcast, we started watching Pulp Fiction, which we had already started watching before, and then Jordan's like, wait, I don't want to watch this anymore. And so then we got a little further tonight, and then he's like, wait, I want to watch True Romance. And so then we were watching True Romance before this started.
Well, I asked you, what would you rather watch? Would you rather keep watching Pulp Fiction or True Romance?
Yeah, and then you explained a little bit that True Romance is a romance story. And I was like, well, then that.
I know. I feel like that title is so misleading. I mean, it's definitely not your typical rom-com. Like, it's not your White Christmas. Let's put it that way.
I love pointing out, though, what's the actor you love? He's in your top favorite actors of all time.
Gary Oldman. Yeah, Gary Oldman.
So I'm like, that's Gary Oldman, and she's like, what? And I'm like, the guy from
Glass
Batman,
Eye, the dreadlocks,
and she's like, what?
He looks so different.
You think that performance is crazy? Have you seen Leon the Professional?
Yeah.
Okay,
so good.
That's one of my favorite performances, and it's so crazy that he's so despicable in that, because when I just watched Harry Potter 5 recently, and I'm like,
oh my gosh,
he carries the movie. By the way, as Sirius Black, I'm just saying, he's like the emotional weight, and he has like 3 scenes, and he's just chewing up the scenery.
His face is Sirius Black. Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
It's the only reason I care about the 5th movie, really. I mean, Dumbledore's distant, and for good reasons. He's afraid that the link between Voldemort and Harry is strong, so like he distances himself. And look at me, and it's the only relationship that Harry has left. Like, he's got no family, no one that understands him, and Sirius like totally gets him, and it's like, hey, you're not a bad person. You just had a lot of bad things happen to you, and it's important that he gives basically the hero speech where, be a good person, do the right thing. Great power comes great responsibility. Of course, I know Spider-Man, but sounded like that speech, but it's Gary Oldman delivering it, and it's so good. And when he dies, spoiler alert, I'm talking about like a 15-year-old movie or something. Actually, maybe it's not even that old, but it's heartbreaking. He's literally carries that movie on his back.
I remember loving the fifth book and fifth movie. Yeah.
I will say I didn't care for the book. The book annoyed me for some reason. It's my least favorite of the books, but it is one of my favorite movies. Yes. Which is surprising. I didn't like the book.
No, it's not surprising, Ty. She was J.K. Rowling was going through a divorce, and so she just vented all her like complaints into Harry Potter.
Harry Potter's just whining all the time. It's like,
and then in the movie, they got rid of all that.
That's so funny.
Yeah, they had a little bit of it where he felt isolated. And
but he wasn't.
That no one believed him, right?
There was no narration. You couldn't hear him complain.
It's true. Yeah. I know, because he's always yelling at his friends. He's like, anyway, it's not that simple, Hermione. It's like, dude, this is your only friend. Like, stop talking to her that way. She's too smart for you anyway.
And we watched in theaters that cooking. What's it called? The Menu. The Menu,
yeah.
I had to dip out a little bit before it ended because I had to go to the comedy show. But Jordan
What'd
told
you
me about
think?
the ending, and dang,
was it good?
No.
How
do I answer that?
Not your cup of tea, but Jordan, did you care for it?
I enjoyed it. It was what the trailer showed. So, and I was a little upset because Dad, before we went to see it, because he's like, you two need to see it. He called me.
He liked it. Okay.
And he's like, you guys need to see it. But then I'm like, I don't I'm like I'm gonna go see it, but then I'm like, do you think my wife can handle it? And he's like, well, let me just tell you everything that happens, and then you can decide if you should see it. Yeah. And I was like, and he spoiled everything for me. He was getting knucklehead.
Yeah, I think I'll go see it blind, but I do want to see it. It's on my list to see. But where's the stack up? Like good B, C film?
Yeah, B. Just kind of it just was odd that he switched, to being insane, so
yeah, it was well done. I just feel like they could have gone a lot more in depth of, like, I don't know,
his character. I don't know. It was just fun. It's like the pig meets Hereditary. I don't know.
There you go. It's funny you said pig, because I literally kept thinking like, oh, I've seen watching the trailer. I feel like
or Triangle Sadness. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Because the wealthy
it's like snobbish. It points the finger at the the food critics and the higher, mightier than thou, and then they're resorted to Lord of the Flies situation. Like, I feel like that's a common motif right now, where people love to crap on the rich and wealthy, but whatever, make a mockery of them. But whatever. Like, just point finger. I'm like, you're Hollywood elites making these films. A little tone deaf, wouldn't you say? Anyway,
it was fun. Like, there were some great performances in there. So
maybe being self-aware is fine though. But anyway, that's watching the trailer. But I still wanted to see it because I saw rave reviews, and I was like, I am intrigued to see it at least. Like, maybe there's something else about the movie that's not just like Triangle Sadness. I was pleasantly surprised. I very much liked it, even though I would say the first act was like, oh gosh, is the whole movie this? But it turned into a cartoon. I'm like, how do you still get people to watch this? Because it was still entertaining as heck to watch. Entertainment is the key here, folks. Movies are meant to entertain, not to teach and indoctrinate and or explain. Like, I am so sick and tired of being told what I'm supposed to believe. In Bruges, they killed the kid. In this movie, they said non-PC words. There's just make more edgy films, please. That's why I like the indie films, because it's like, oh, there's a character that's flawed. They said something that should turn you off. They said something that you don't agree with. I find that more compelling than Captain America can do no wrong. Of course he can't. But I guess Falcon Winter Soldier, he can't. But
you're getting messages from those other movies, but not necessarily explicit messages. It's either you're interpreting it as the audience
subtle
member, or it's implicit, or
or even like skillfully, or making me think about it in a different way rather than just saying the platitude. It's like, I know that you think this. Like, this movie's coming from Hollywood. Got it. I already know where you stand, but thank you for making this multi-million-dollar message for me, like PSA, like, hey, vote blue. Got it. Right. Reads it loud and clear. Also, but it's how about entertain me first? Yeah. Anyway.
I did also rewatch. I've seen it a million times in the past, but it had been a few years. Decoy Bride. It's a quirky rom-com, takes place in Scotland.
Which one? The what bride?
It's called Decoy Bride. It has Kelly MacDonald and the guy that plays Doctor Who or whatever.
Hold on, my wife wants to take down the title of this movie.
I texted it in the girls' chain for our family, because I introduced it to your mom and Cassie and Kelsey. And then I realized later that I misspoke about which character in Harry Potter the main actress plays. So I like texted the whole girls text thread. So your wife
Barty Crouch
has it there.
It's Barty Crouch, Doctor Who guy.
No, sorry, maybe he's not Doctor Who. It's not Benedict Cumberbatch, but it's a guy with like blonde.
Well, there's multiple different Doctor Who's.
Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, like, yeah.
It's like blonde hair. I think he's British. But yeah, the whole thing is in Scotland.
It's gonna bother me. I'll look it up. What was it called? Decoy Bride.
Yeah.
Decoy Bride. Yeah, because he's a big name. I swear.
Kelly MacDonald, David Tennant.
Was it
David Tennant? That's it.
Was it as good this time as it was in the past?
Yeah. It's even better because in the first few tens of times or whatever I watched it, I was like, some of these things don't make sense.
He was Barty Crouch in Harry Potter 4, by the way. He has the most cringeworthy line. I'm sorry. When he looks at his father and he's like, "Hello, father," and he flicks his tongue. Yeah, I can't do it. Cringe is 100. It's all right.
I'm done talking about movies I've seen.
Love it, but no knock on him. I just remember that scene, and he's like, "You're no son of mine." It's so good. It's so bad, but it's good. And you're like, "Oh, they had daddy and son issues." But anyway, but most evil, sinister plot: kidnapping a teacher, drinking Polyjuice potion to maintain his physique. The whole relationship that Harry Potter built with Mad-Eye Moody was all a lie. It was Barty Crouch's son, or what's his name? Marty Crouch? I can't remember. Anyway, Barty Crouch Jr.'s. It was him, a Death Eater. He formed a relationship with the Death Eater, and we're supposed to like extrapolate that. But it turns out he was acting mostly like Mad-Eye Moody would have, because once you finally meet Mad-Eye Moody, he is exactly the same.
And did you say Mad-Eye Moody is the actor that was in
Gleeson? Yes, and Banshees of Inisherin. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I'm saying it quieter and more befuddled every time.
I know.
Inisherin. In Ireland, why isn't it called Banshees of Inisherin? Because I like the shushes or whatever, the shushes in it, the alliteration. Yeah. So, George, what about you? You seen anything else, or you watch mostly pretty much the same things?
Same thing.
Force your wife to watch all the things you're interested in. Why don't you watch Decoy Bride for a change, huh?
I know, right? Just
we saw a Memoir of a Murderer instead. I watched with Cameron and Grant, or Cameron and Jake. Ty, you need to check
sound
that
less
out.
like the Decoy Bride and Memoir of a Murderer.
Ty, those are two I recommend to you: Bedevilled and Memoir of a Murderer. Both amazing South Korean films.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Yeah. My wife is watching a South Korean drama right now called Crash Landing Onto You. Yeah. Have you seen that one? It's like a North and South Korean drama.
Mom and Cassie are super into it.
They're obsessed. My wife is obsessed, but she's watching that one right now. And I watched I'm watching Nathan Fielder's Nathan for You. Love that show. It's one of the funniest things.
I saw that you started a rehearsal.
I finished the rehearsal. I finally watched the whole thing. The rehearsal is like one of the most, how do I say it?
Can we just dive into it in another episode? Because I want to talk about it.
It's the most TV show ever.
Let's do an episode. Yeah.
Yeah, we should. I think Nathan Fielder is one of the most intriguing people out there.
And I thought that was like one of the best. I mean, I'm glad you showed me some of the Nathan for You, because I'm like, oh, so he did do a lot of like the what was the he hires. Well, no, he hires the detective, and then he hires another guy to look like him.
Private investigator, then hires doubles. Yeah, he hires doubles that look like him. They all run out of the hotel at once. There's like 8 of Nathan Fielders running around.
And then I just felt like HBO's, he just had a bigger budget, so he did that, but on a bigger scale. Like he built a building within a building.
Yeah, the pub. Yeah, it's like I said, it's the most TV show ever. It's the most TV show ever. It's so crazy. I've just never seen anything like it. So I'm baffled, and I'm thinking about it constantly. And I watched him in interviews. I think he's okay. Get this. So I'll bring this more up into when we talk about it. But like, he was a magician, like at heart. And so when I think about that, I'm like, he is essentially pulling an amazing magic trick.
Yes,
that's rivaling like Christian Bale in The Prestige.
Yes,
like, it's an act that he's carrying through his entire life, and it's crazy. So we'll talk about that.
It's like he never breaks character ever.
Yes, I'll send you a video. I just watched an hour-long video essay from somebody else talking about Nathan Fielder and rehearsal, and I'll send it to you, Jordan.
Okay.
But it was really interesting because it's this guy. He's like, "Is Nathan Fielder? What is Nathan Fielder? Is he real? Is like, is he a troll? Like, what is he? Is he really this way, or is this all a front?" Yes, and I'd be really interested because in interviews, you don't even necessarily get the real Nathan Fielder. Like, there's very little about him, and I'm like, this guy is. It's like a that's again, I'm missing the Prestige when Christian Bale is like, look at him, he's hobbling, and then when he gets into the cart and he's out of view, I bet he's standing up straight, he's strong, and he's he's like, he's got the strength to hold that fishbowl between his knees. He's like, look at him, he looks decrepit. He goes, this is the performance, this is the act. He's like, this is the Prestige, he's fooling us right now, this is all a front. He's not a weak old man. When he goes back home, he's burly, he's nimble, he's lifting weights, he's jacked. But anyway, but that's Nathan Fielder. He's literally playing 4D chess. Like outside the show, he is like being this person. I'll get into all that later.
But I wonder if he even knows who he is, like, because he's probably that person now.
Yeah, it's almost an
yes, he may have embodied him, like unintentionally or intentionally, or is he self-aware? I don't know, but I would love to meet him. I think he's one of the most fascinating people on the earth and on the planet, and he's made two of the most fascinating shows. Nathan For You, much more lighthearted and funny and very.
Although it is a bit mean-spirited at times, I feel like.
To be fair. But what I enjoy about it is, for the most part, if people lean into it or they don't, like, there's humor found in genuine moments where people say things because for the sake of what do you call it? I guess call it prudence. Like, it's like, oh, camera's rolling, so I should behave a cerertain way, or I should go along with this because the camera's rolling.
Yeah,
that's part of it. But you're like, I'm still blown away that people are saying or doing the things like they just go along with it. Anyway.
I think the best people that could tell us about like who he really is would be his co-writers. Like he had 2 or 3 co-writers on the rehearsal. One of them is Carrie Kemper. I feel like if they do any interviews talking about Nathan, that might be insightful.
For sure. Well, and people that have left the show have mentioned, like, there was one, and I'll send you the documentary that I watched. I don't know, it's a video essay, but he films him in interviews. He watches his show. He goes back and forth. He believes it one minute and then he doesn't believe it the next. He's like, it's very compelling. So anyway, I find him one of the most fascinating people working in show, and I'm glad that HBO sees the value in that. They make some of the greatest shows out there, and I'm probably tooting their horn. We are not sponsored by HBO, but I think it's great that they have like really quality programming, and the show Rehearsal said so much about TV, child actors, crazy things about like TV production in general. Very meta.
Well, and parents,
not like just pointing at it saying a meta. It literally, the parents of
child actors. Oh my gosh.
Yo, it's crazy. Anyway, I cried twice, and it wasn't like necessarily a good one. It was sad. It's very sad. Yeah, it's very heartbreaking. And you said mean-spirited, and I think he grapples with that really well.
Oh, and, right. In rehearsal, he grapples with it.
In rehearsal, yeah. Nathan Fielder, Nathan For You. I
until
never cried once.
And then
my wife she's like, oh, this is so awkward. Like, it's almost like The Office, where it's just like these awful, long, drawn out scenes. You're like, just stop. And he won't. He like just keeps asking him questions. He keeps probing, and he gets people to like say these things or do these things that are just so absurd. And anyway, it's
he
amazing.
Seems to see things that the audience will see. And it's amazing that he can grasp, or he hears something and he's like, I know where to go with this. Like,
well, you've seen his method of the flowcharts, right? Like, he has every outcome possibly mapped out, and I'm like, that's how his mind works. And he literally made a show about it. And like at the end of it, he's still grappling with what he did in the show, and so the show continues like as an epilogue. Like, let me rehearse everything I just did with this show. Do I have qualms about it? Yes.
Is he a psychopath that needs to study how humans expect him to behave instead of just knowing it intuitively?
So real quick, have you guys seen all of the rehearsal and all of Nathan Fielder?
We haven't watched all of Nathan For You, but we've watched all of the rehearsal.
There's some wild episodes of Nathan For You. Have you seen the one where he does the tightrope walk?
No.
Okay, guys, I'm telling you, watch that episode, because you'll watch it and you'll be like, what are like the moral implications about what he's doing? And again, not necessarily mean-spirited, because it's actually like somehow there's a positive spin to it, but there is like this really weird kind of dark undertone, or really sad moment where you kind of look into this character's life and you're like, how much of it is him and how much is he projecting? Because anyway, we got to talk about it. But anyway, I'm just so fascinated by it, and I can't stop thinking about it because I just finished it, and it's been on my mind a lot lately. So one of the most intriguing people out there. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. As far as it's like in the style of Borat or Sacha Baron Cohen, right? He's playing a character for the most part, as far as I can tell, especially with Nathan Fielder or Nathan For You. But Rehearsal is just like unlike anything I've ever seen. So definitely recommend a watch if you're at least a bit intrigued. It's crazy. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. So,
and if you're a fan for Nathan For You and you haven't seen the rehearsal, get on.
Watch the rehearsal. Yes, exactly, exactly. Because it's deep at times. It's poignant. It's there's metaphors, there's allegory.
Well,
all
now
the
that you've
things.
seen both of them, which one do you like better?
Oh gosh, I would say I would show people Nathan For You well before I showed Rehearsal, because Rehearsal is like so deep and profound. It's almost like, I don't know, it's like asking whether I would show somebody The Dark Knight versus Interstellar, or Tenet maybe. Like I'd be like, no, get into Christopher Nolan, like watch, or even like Following, right? I'm like, no, just watch The Dark Knight, see what he's about. If you like his style, dark, whimsical, eerie stuff. Okay, get into Prestige. Now you're getting a little crazier out there, sci-fi, duplication,
and then
like teleportation,
last.
Inception. Yeah, it's like borderline. You're like, okay, there's some weird stuff in Inception, but if you can wrap your mind around it, it's a really great time. Then there's like Tenet and Interstellar, right? Yeah. And I love all of his films, by the way, but I'm just saying, like, the one I would push on people, like The Dark Knight is most accessible, right? Like, it's a dark superhero movie most people can get behind, even if it's a little too dark. Or
if you like the Rehearsal tie, Synecdoche, New York is basically that, but it's amazing.
That's what I find interesting. Yeah, there's more movies that I want to explore, so thank you for the recommendation. I'll have to check that one out.
It is a Charlie Kaufman movie, so it's very depressing.
Yeah, I've seen, what else did he do? Did he do, or I'm thinking of
Adaptation.
Squid and the Whale. No, Squid and the Whale. Who's that?
I can't remember his
Bachman,
name,
or whatever his name is. Marriage Story, all those ones, like whatever his name is.
Those ones are just
Noah
Baumbach, something like that. Yeah, he does really good like scripts and stuff.
Yeah, like just sad characters, very rude, brutally honest.
Well, I mean, so does Charlie Kaufman, but Charlie Kaufman did the one with Jim Carrey. What one's that one where he like
number 23?
No, he erases his mind.
Yeah, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, and
very intriguing.
And the one with John Cusack where he's like in that building and it's like really tiny. I can't remember.
Being John Malkovich. Yes.
Yeah, he's the puppet guy.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
But anyways, and then he did that one on Netflix. Did you watch that one? I think I'm Going to Die. No, something depressing.
Wait, are you talking about the one where they go to the dinner party or whatever, to their house?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but I know which one you're talking about. Like the uninvited, the guest.
I'm thinking of Ending Things.
I'm thinking of Ending Things. That's the one. Yeah, I'm Going to Die.
Basically, like that's
basically. Yeah, and I want to see the movie Men. That's one on my list. That was done by. Is it Noam Baumbach? No, who is it? The guy that
Alex
did,
Garland.
Alex Garland. Yes.
I like Annihilation better.
I still haven't seen Annihilation. See, I need to see his films. I want to see Annihilation.
Yeah,
and I want to watch Men.
He did Beach as well. He wrote Beach.
And I haven't seen Beach, dude. You've
seen Ex Machina though, right?
And I have seen Ex Machina. That was the movie I was going to say. That movie, like, I was like, this is wild. This is a great director. I want to start watching his work.
As far as Men goes, I prefer, because I like his films when you can enjoy the whole thing as a whole. The problem with Men is the first half is like, it's amazing and a perfect setup, but then the second half is all just like interpretive. So it's just kind of frustrating.
Sometimes it like, to me, it's like, if you have to suffer your narrative story just for the allegory or for the metaphor, whatever it is, right? You're like telling the story and it just gets too, it almost reminds me of like the limit of like I never watched The Green Knight, but it is
literally The Green Knight.
Right. The Green Knight, with The Northman, right? It's like, I'll watch The Northman, there's the tree, but it's still more accessible than some of the other films. But Robert Eggers, it's not Lighthouse, but it is like, a lot of people still felt.
But even Lighthouse, you can at least enjoy it on just a surface level of just like two crazy guys going crazy. All the other interpretive weird things, like I feel like
it's true. Like, but there is like this whole unnerving thing. Like, I don't know too many people that I'm like, go see The Lighthouse because I think they'll like it. It's like, you probably won't like it, which is why I think you should watch it. Like, it's hard to explain, but like, I'm like, I don't think a lot of people are like, oh, that's my cup of tea. But like, some people that definitely love movies go watch movies like The Lighthouse and The Northman, or so anyway. So I love that. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of his filmography. I'm going to watch more of his films. And then
I recommend The Beach. I know not a lot of people love that one.
I know you mentioned that one before, and that was one that was on my list, and it's still there. And I'm like, I need to get around.
It was directed
by
Annihilation,
Beach, and
it was directed by Danny Boyle, and it was written by Alex Garland. So it's just I think it's a fun combination.
Okay, right on, Danny Boyle. I like his films. So anyway, anything else I'm looking forward to? I don't know. Is there anything good coming out?
I said, you need to watch Memoir.
I am excited for John Wick 4. I have to mention this every time because I'm gonna go to the theater twice. I'm gonna go see Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan's film, And like Avatar 2's out. I don't even care. Does anyone care about Avatar 2? Who went and saw that movie?
Okay, a guy at work, I work with, I lent him Brawl in Cell Block 99, and he watched like 10 minutes, and then he gave it back to me. He's like, "Why did you lend this to me?" And I'm like, he's because he loves movies. But then I remembered, I'm like, oh, he told me all his favorite movies are the Marvel movies, and he loves his favorite movie of all time is Avatar. So I'm like, oh.
Oh yeah. That may not be,
right
that's like, and no offense to people that like these movies, because I think it's good to have escapism. Like, but for me, regular life is boring enough. I actually like the movies that pack a punch, that like feel a little closer to home. Like as the stakes are raised when you lift a giant city out of the sky, looking at you, Avengers 2 or whatever. The stakes couldn't be higher. Like half the like Thanos snaps his finger, half the population's gone. Oh my gosh, what could be worse than half the population? The whole population. But it's like, I just don't care anymore. Like, do it already. Snap your fingers, get it over with. Let's go back to the relationship between Colin Farrell and Donald Gleeson, or not Donald Gleeson.
Like, keep it tighter. Like, I want to care for somebody.
Give me a reason to care for your characters. Oh my gosh. Anyway, very much not looking forward to any more Rings of Power. I just can't handle it. So not looking forward to that. That's a diss. But Oppenheimer and John Wick 4. Definitely. Those are the two movies that I'll see in theaters. And I think after that, I think those are my last two films I'll ever see in a movie theater. Mark my words. I mean,
no, I will keep seeing all these great directors like Martin McDonagh's films.
Yeah.
And
if I even knew it was out. The other thing I'm looking forward to watching is The Chosen season 3, which is, I think the first episode's out now. I haven't seen it yet.
We saw the first episode on Sunday.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay. Very excited.
I heard the second episode's better because I've cried.
What does that mean? I've loved every episode.
Okay, well, no. So listen, I've cried in every single episode except the kid one, because it's like that could easily go creepy really fast when he's like, out in the forest and he's just
many moving parts.
Yeah,
he did not cry.
But this one, it just they had like my wife said, just too many moving parts. Just too much going on, and there's like really loud music, and I'm like watch every frame of painting talk about silence. It's not. It's okay to have silence. This director. Like,
speaking of silence, I just watched No Country for Old Men. No music in that entire movie.
Yes,
that is the craziest.
Amazing.
It's the entire movie. It's
we need
nuts.
To watch that one.
It is so crazy, and that movie is insane, and it's actually now moved up to like, I think it's. I know it's in the top 20 right now, but I think it's in the top 10. That movie's insane, and I love that movie. I made my wife watch it again. I watched like 8 scenes. Well, it's one of the most rewatchable Coen Brother films of all time, for sure. So
what's Coen Brothers?
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yes. Yeah, it's very exciting.
You sold it right away when you said Coen Brothers.
Coen Brothers are great. And again, I would just argue there are still characters that are definitely fun and quirky, but this is not necessarily I think it's super entertaining and fun, but my wife is like, oh, this is stressful and violent and stuff. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
So good though. I can't get over it.
She likes
it's a modern day Western, or imagine like a detective. It's I said it's most akin to Prisoners was the best example I could give. It's just like it's like a deep, dark, but there's moments of action riddled with funny characters. So it's like Coen Brothers directing a Western.
Tatiana loved Prisoners. It was a good discussion after that. Yeah.
Yes. I think this one definitely has, because I didn't understand the movie ending, but dude, I love the movie so much more on every single rewatch. I love it more and more. I watch it with my brothers-in-law. I think they got it too. And they're like, oh, like they were disappointed at the ending. And I'm like, but no, we talked about it. And they're like, oh man, that's cool. I'm like, oh, it's crazy. So anyway, I won't spoil it, but definitely give that one a watch. I can never get talked up to. So that and There Will Be Blood. And you know what's crazy? This is just on my mind. I have to get this out on the podcast. This is where we talk about these things. Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think, has fallen down the list. Now I want to watch Swiss Army Man again, because I definitely love that.
I like Swiss Army Man better.
Better, right? And it's weird because I was thinking about Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm like, I loved it so much in the theater. It was such a great watch. And it was a great for the time it was in. But I'm like, wow, other people that I listened to were saying like, oh, I think this is just a product of its time, and it's not going to be, people aren't going to be talking about this movie later on.
I still love it, and I
still love it. Yeah. But it is weird. The more I think about it, where I'm like, I think I do like Swiss Army Man better, because that was originally higher, and then I bumped it for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I think that one may have fallen out of favor, because I think the Swiss Army Man is just so out there, and the appreciation of life and film and stuff. It's
and you just wanted to go and have a good theater experience where you weren't like, they weren't jamming a message so hard down your throat you couldn't breathe. Yes. Like, you just enjoyed it.
And that
doesn't happen.
Everything Everywhere All at Once did a really good job, because there's probably still a few messages in there, but like the ones they had, I was like, mostly on board with. I'm like, yeah, this is great. Like, and again, they got me to care about this people because again, the drama is the family. Yeah, that's everything about the movie. So, but Swiss Army Man, it is one individual, and it's almost more intimate that way. And again, it's so weird. I love it. It's definitely weirder than Everything Everywhere All at Once, even though it has moments of weirdness. Swiss Army Man is by far one of the most original movies of all time. So I don't know if you've seen that one yet, Tatiana. Have you seen that one?
I like it a lot. I like it better than Swiss Army Man, but yeah.
Oh, you liked Everything Everywhere All at Once more than Swiss Army Man?
Yeah. I don't know which one I'd want to rewatch more though. Maybe I would want to rewatch Swiss Army Man before.
See that, rewatchability, and that's where that's why There Will Be Blood and No Country are climbing my list because I'm like I watch these movies like probably every 3 months. I really do. Like I go back and watch my favorite scenes from him. I'm like that speaks volumes about this film. It's timeless. It is unbelievably timeless. So yes, and Javier Bardem. Oh my gosh, scariest person alive. So anyway, yeah, guys, I don't have anything else. You guys have anything else? Any other movies or anything?
No.
So great babbling about movies. It's been a long time. I need to come on here every week, man. Just gotta keep them
I
coming,
know.
so.
Ty, it's so funny. You texted me literally I sent you like a million texts and like we're recording, and then all of a sudden you sent me a text that night. Oh, so what are we talking about tomorrow? I'm like, we already did it.
We did it. I know. So I am now it's December 7th has long since passed. I am free, baby, for the rest of the year. So let's
I hope you get to come on for Scrooge. We need to hear you sing some songs.
I'll do
this month.
Yeah,
we're doing it next week.
Next week, baby.
For Christmas.
Let's go.
Are you bringing on Byron?
Yeah.
Good.
We have to bring on Byron.
Obsessed with that movie, I think.
We'll have to talk about all the movies that are better than Scrooge, all the better Christmas Carol movies.
Wear your Christmas sweater, Ty. Wear your best Christmas sweater.
Oh, a Christmas sweater? I could probably find one. I could get some. I'll sweat like my head off, but I'll bring something because I'm already sweating and I'm only wearing like the flannel. But anyway. Guys, this has been Future Hidden Movie Gems. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for letting us rant and rave about movies that we've seen lately. Oh, I forgot to mention, I watched the Christmas movies that you watched this year. Are there any that you're missing so far on this list? We're now December 14th today. I watched Elf. I've watched Jingle All the Way. My kids love that movie. And but I have not yet watched Christmas.
Was watching Jingle All the Way. I hate that movie. Oh
I love that movie.
Oh no, you don't love it.
So good. Family loves it.
You don't care for it, Tatiana?
I tried watching it on the plane. Like I don't know.
It's bonkers.
You need to watch it with the family.
It was last December, so we were already married, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, it was so hard." And you're like, "What? My family loves that movie." And then when he explained like why you guys love it and the things you say as you watch it, I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I can see."
It's hard to encapsulate what it is, but yeah, it's up there. It's like Good Burger. I can't explain.
With you guys,
yeah. For some reason, our family enjoys it.
I haven't seen Elf yet.
You've never seen the movie Elf?
No, just this season.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I saw it last year either.
Oh, I thought you meant at all.
No,
I know. I was like,
what? My favorite Christmas movie. I need to watch it every Christmas.
Yes. Yeah. Elf. I would say Home Alone, Elf, Christmas Story, and Wonderful Life, and Scrooge. I think those are the 5 staples. Yeah. That's me anyway. My parents are
obsessed with Christmas Story. They watch it every year. Yep.
Yeah, it's a good one. Not the remake, folks. There's a new one coming out. Don't bother to see it. Stick with the outdated stick out with the old one. So anyway, watch your Christmas movies and stay safe and be sure to drink your Ovaltine. Yes. So everybody's just
Futro Ovaltine tonight. Yay, I did it.
I love it. Folks, this has been Futuro Hidden Movie Gems. Thanks for tuning in. Write us an email, futuromovies@gmail.com. Leave us a comment on our page and of a movie that you'd like us to review. Take it easy, stay safe, and a Merry Christmas to all and good night.
Bye.
Bye.